Good morning, Dudu. And like you mentioned, that some of the areas here in Nelson Mandela Bay were affected by heavy rains just this past weekend, which left many residents in different areas of course, Nelson Mandela Bay devastated with regards to the after effects of these heavy rains. I'm just going to move out of shot, Dudu, so that my colleague Vuisa can just give you a bit of a background picture in terms of this particular area we're in. We are, of course, at an area called Edongweni here in Nelson Mandela Bay. That's just outside Kwazakhele, not far from New Brighton. And New Brighton was also just one of course, those townships that have been affected by the heavy rains, which left many homes and shacks in this particular informal settlement with clothes just lying in and around the area, mattresses, as Vuisa is going to be showing you. Couches are still outside, of course, the community, and of course families now also just trying to put together pieces in terms of how they move forward. Now, the municipality, of course, the Mayor Retief Odendaal had also mentioned on Facebook over the weekend that they are aware of the many, of course, complaints by community members of this particular informal settlement called Edongweni, which is over 20 years old. And of course, different family members live in these particular homes, and also in some areas not far from here in New Brighton, saying that they are aware of the water drainages and the storm waters that are currently happening in this particular area that causes floods in this particular area of Edongweni, New Brighton, Central, and also other areas in Mount Road also were affected by the floods. We spoke earlier on with one of the residents and he just explained that one thing that they can say really did affect them is the issue of their furniture that they needed to remove and replace due to the fact that half of it was just covered in water, which they needed to take out, and that lasted until Monday. So they've been trying to dry clothes since Monday, and food to Duzile. They no longer have food. And when we arrived also earlier on, many of the community members, especially the elderly, were being called to an office not far from here of the Department of Labor. That's where they have been called by the community and as well as the councillors to go and collect some food parcels just to keep them through and carry them through to the festive season. Of course, on Sunday, it's Christmas Day. So you can imagine how these families are still just trying to put their lives together after the devastating floods that they experienced over the weekend. So that's where we'll be headed to, and that's where we'll be speaking to many of the community members who are there and who will be receiving, of course, the food parcels that have been put in place for them as a community. And currently, the dam levels in Nelson Mandela Bay are sitting at 15.8%. We are a drought-stricken area, Duduzile. So in as much as many residents are grateful, of course, for the rain, but it did leave many families here at Dongweni and surrounding areas like New Brighton at a very difficult place, trying to move past, of course, the festive season, Duduzile.
Yeah, Siphosethu, Booi, thank you very much for that update. Looking forward to hearing the voices of the people who have been impacted by these heavy rains. We'll touch base with you a little bit later on. Thank you.